Hello, everyone. I'm your host, Wei Fang, your Chinese-American journalist broadcasting to you from San Francisco, California. And along with me is our investigative reporter, my co-host, Kathy Zhang. Kathy.
Hello, everyone. The next thing I would like to bring to you is also an interview of a CCP scholar who is associate of Xi Jinping, the head of the Communist Party in China, Dongsheng. A few days ago, we shared with you one of his speech in a very recent.
He's very famous now. He's
all over the place
Tucker Carlson
now.
Aired his speech, and then President Trump then tweeted. And that's
we were actually the first one to air it.
Well, 3 days ahead of Tucker Carlson.
This video was recorded a little over a week ago, on November 28th. The man you're about to see speak is a professor from Beijing called Dongsheng. The video comes from an appearance that he made on a Chinese television show about Wall Street and international trade. Dongsheng works at Renminbi University in Beijing. He is also, like so many in academia in China, a servant of his country's government. This video was deleted from Chinese social media soon after being uploaded, and there's a reason for that, as you'll see.
前边特朗普政府跟我们打贸易战，那么我们为什么搞不定特朗普政府？为什么以前1992年到2016年之间，中美之间各种问题都能搞得定？是不是？大家发现没有？所有的危机，不管是银河号事件，还是炸大使馆，还是撞了飞机，所有事情全部是床头吵架床尾和，2个月之内搞定。什么原因？这儿我抛出一个可能又要是暴论了，就是因为咱们上边有人，就是我们在美国的权势核心圈我们有我们的老朋友。
There's a lot of garbage floating around the internet right now, a lot of fake things. That video is real, and those subtitles are accurate. We checked today with 2 different Chinese speakers and confirmed that. What he just said, what you just read on the screen, tells the story. This is as close to a smoking gun as we have ever seen. Quote, "We have people at the top of America's core inner circle of power and influence." According to the man you just saw, that has been true for decades. So who are these people, and how many of them work in our media and in our government? Well, he didn't say precisely. At one point in the video, he described a Chinese agent working as a vice president at, quote, a top Wall Street financial institution. I can't say more, he explained, without making political trouble. Dongsheng did tell his audience that one agent in particular was especially useful, and he goes on at some length about her. He describes her as an American who's lived abroad for many years, who is now a Chinese citizen. And this seems to baffle him a little bit. The Chinese government doesn't allow dual citizenship. Why would they? Why would anyone? Dongsheng seems pleased that the U.S. government is foolish enough to allow it. He explains that this American agent, who lives at least part of the year in Beijing, helped the Chinese government with a propaganda operation in the city of Washington in 2015. And he goes on to describe that in some detail. The Obama administration was easy to manipulate, he suggests. They helped. The Chinese had many friends among the Obama people. The problem came when Donald Trump was elected. After that, he says, everything changed.
是呢，就过去这个30年过去40年，我们在美国的他的这个利用他权势核心圈，是不是？我前面讲过，华尔街在1970年代开始对美国它的内政外交有非常强的影响力，所以我们有路径依赖，是吧？但问题是08年之后，华尔街的地位下降了，更重要的是16年之后，华尔街搞不定特朗普，为什么？很尴尬，特朗普以前对华尔街有过一次软性违约，所以双方有矛盾当然这个细节我就不多说了，时间可能已经来不及了，是吧？那么这个中美贸易战过程中，他们也试图帮忙据我所知，美方的朋友跟我讲，这个试图帮忙，但是力有不逮
Since the 1970s, he said, and he's an economics professor, you should know, Wall Street has had enormous influence over the way the United States government operates, over American policy. The Chinese government, he says, has enormous influence on Wall Street. And that arrangement worked very well for a long time. Then Donald Trump unexpectedly was elected in 2016, and Wall Street was infuriated. Wall Street can't fix Trump, he said, but they tried. And this solves the mystery. If you're wondering why our political class has stood by and allowed the Chinese government to degrade this country and our way of life, why they've stood by as the Chinese government has flooded the United States with deadly opioids that have killed hundreds of thousands of people, or have stood by as the Chinese government ripped off billions in intellectual property from our companies, there's your answer. Earlier this year, the chairman of Harvard's chemistry department was arrested for taking $50,000 a month from the Communist Party of China in return for sending secrets and referring top scientists to Beijing. It barely rated as a scandal. You may not even be aware it happened. Why? Because so many are on the take, in effect. Donald Trump was an impediment to this very lucrative arrangement. And for that reason, Dongsheng explains in the video, America's most powerful elites, and he calls them that, got to work on electing a new president. Again, read the words at the bottom of your screen as he speaks.
但现在呢？现在我们看到拜登上台了，传统的精英、政治精英啊，这个建制派，他们跟华尔街的关系是非常密切的。所以大家看到吧，拜登的儿子被特朗普说你在全球有什么基金公司，发现没有？谁帮他建的基金公司啊？明白吗？这个都有买卖啊。那么。所以这个时候我们
Oh, Donald Trump, he notes, because the Chinese do pay close attention to what we say here, Donald Trump has complained about Hunter Biden and his ties to the Chinese government. Those are real, he just confirms. So now you know why you weren't allowed to talk about Hunter Biden's laptop, why big business aligned as one, the tech companies and the rest, to suppress that story, because they were implicated in it. Back in October, we interviewed a man called Tony Bobolinsky. We interviewed him because no one else would. Tony Bobolinsky was a business partner of the Bidens. Here's what he told us about China.
And in a document that you guys have, and I think it's been provided to the world, the Chinese referenced that because of their trust in the Biden family, that Chairman Yi and Director Zhang are excited about moving forward in this. And in that document, they reference loaning $5 million to the BD family.
Right.
The BD family is the Biden family.
What are the implications of this going forward? If Joe Biden is elected president, which could very well happen, how does this constrain his ability to deal with China?
Are you asking for my personal opinion?
I am. I'm asking for your opinion as someone who's worked with the Chinese.
So I think Joe Biden and the Biden family are compromised.
I think Joe Biden and the Biden family are compromised with China. Looks like he was right about that, and it looks like the Bidens are far from the only ones who've been compromised.
Now, Kathy found another piece of speech, about the real thinking they have.
Yeah, the theme of his interview was the deadly war between China and America, and he reviewed from his point of view how how United States is operated by the deep state and why the deep state hates Trump. So, by the way, he studied in the United States and being a scholar in Georgetown University, back 2014, 2015, things like that. So, let's take a look at of this short video.
其实没有谁叫美国，没有人叫美国，真实存在的是不同的利益群体。现在美国社会分裂特别严重，精英圈我们称之为 establishment 权贵圈。尤其这个精英圈里边的有一个群体，我们称之为 deep state 隐形政府。这什么人呢？当然不同的人理解略有差别。我的理解就是，美国的军方、美国情报系统、 美国国务院、美国财政部、美国商务部、美国总统贸易代表办公室、美国司法系统这个圈的中高级官员群体。注意，这个群体他们是事务官为主，他不是政务官。也就是说，在美国495公路圈里边，特朗普所痛恨的那个沼泽里边的大鱼们就是他们。美国政治家是选举来来去去，来来去去，是过客，但是总是待在美国权力圈里边的，就是刚才我说这个群体。这个群体，我跟他们有所交往，在我看来，他们的特点是：第一，有水平，有情怀，有能力，有资本，有经验。这个群体互相之间都是老同学，因为他们都是名校毕业。然后呢，年纪轻轻进了各个部委。所以过去70多年里边，二战之后运作整个美帝国，运作整个世界资本主义体系，打冷战，是吧？主导了我们今天这个世界的，其实就是这个小圈子。那么，这个圈子对特朗普是什么看法？这个圈子总体上来讲，对特朗普是极其的不屑。他们认为自己才是美帝国真正的主人。特朗普你是外人。到什么程度？我举个例子，2015年我在华盛顿，我经常参加这个圈子的一些公开的研讨会。美国体制的一个优点就是它有一定的公开性，一定程度上公开性。他们要做什么事情，首先要塑造共识。这个圈子经常喜欢搞一些这个公开的研讨会，学术性的、政策性的研讨会。比如说最常见的主体是什么？平台是放在 CSIS 美国国际战略研究中心。那么在 CSIS 的各种会上，假如某位嘉宾发言中间提到了特朗普这个人的名字，台下的听众一定哄堂大笑。这是2015年已经在竞选了。这台下的观众如果谁不笑，就显得很 low。这是华盛顿的氛围，政治氛围，你就可以想象这个圈子对特朗普是什么观点。所以2016年年底，美国的民主居然一下子变成真的了，这是超乎他们意料的。特朗普这样的人居然上台了，成了他们的老板。你可以想象那个群体当时的感受是什么样的，绝对是天崩地裂，天都塌了的感觉，是吧？幻灭感。所以在过去的2年里边，一直坚持跟特朗普周旋对抗的，其实是什么人？就是这个圈子。他们利用自己的专业优势、资源优势、信息优势，在耍特朗普，跟特朗普的政策是背道而驰的。特朗普的政策其实是一个带有底层里边什么？带有去杠杆，这个杠杆是个比喻。美帝国的本质就是对权力杠杆的使用，而特朗普是放弃这些权力杠杆。特朗普破坏的是美帝国的信用和杠杆，而那个群体在努力维护美帝国的杠杆。最典型的，特朗普就放弃 TPP， 而 TPP 恰恰是这个 Deep State 群体苦心经营了6、7年，才好不容易弄成今天这样。结果到了临门一脚的时候，特朗普说这事儿我不干了。那么还有好多了，比如特朗普各种退群，是吧？那些群都是那帮 Deep State 辛辛苦苦传起来的，是吧？全给毁了。
Fairly.
What do you think?
I think he's probably speak the truth. I don't know how you think.
Yeah.
This is a so-called, the CCP scholar who's been coming here and study here and talk to people. He's one of the member of this so-called second track of the foreign relationship. So
Yeah, he is the vice dean of the School of International Relationships of Renminbi University of China.
People's University of China.
Yeah, and also the vice director and the secretary of the Center for Foreign Strategic Study of China.
Yeah. So do you think he's speaking the truth? This is probably some behind the door type of interview, and it's in the last video, the reason why it went viral, right? And Tucker Carlson and pick it up, President Trump pick it up because he was speaking the truth. Mm-hmm. Behind the door, he thought it's Chinese. Nobody would take note. Americans don't know about that, he have his leisure moment in which that he just
Yeah, because at that last one, he revealed the truth of how Wall Street, they have connections. CCP has connections at the Wall Street and also higher officials. Yeah, so they were able to always influence their United States, China policy, but until Trump came around, they were not able to. Wall Street, cannot control Trump anymore, and then he talked about how Hunter Biden, had this security foundations all over the world, and he hinted that's built up by the Chinese Communist government. So this one, he really revealed how the deep state works and why they hate Trump.
Yeah. So
how do you think?
How do you think? I said, there's a lot of people who believe this is right, and they're saying the truth. This is basically just this is enemy's size. Okay, when they're closed door and how they talk about how they see us, how they talk about us. This is the truth.
Yeah, and actually, this guy took pride of how he really knew about America. I didn't include everything like in this video. In his interview, he was really talk about how some Chinese scholar they really claim they to be Americans. Affairs expert. They don't really know, so he's showing off how he really knows something.
Yeah, to be honest, I asked myself, how many Americans know what he talked about, right?
Yeah.
It's hidden. It's just hidden. And then there's such a big issue here that President Trump is trying to deal with. It's so hard. While he deal with such a big problem, big issue, and he's still trying to move the country forward. This is, what Donald J. Trump has been struggling with.
Yeah, he said, because Trump's policy really comes from the grassroots.
Yeah.
So
now it's like people versus, that kind of a force. This is where we are.